Don't miss this one day only 20% off sale on all of your favorite anime merchandise and apparel over at Redbubble using the link in the description along with the coupon code provided. Do you ever find yourself making spontaneous decisions to just go and do something that you have no idea of what you're getting yourself into, and when it's all said and done, you came away with a great, enjoyable experience from it all? For me, this was actually my experience with Kubo and the Two Strings, because I knew nothing about this. I had only seen a poster and like a few seconds of a trailer, not even the full trailer, so I knew nothing. The only reason I went and saw this was because I was just killing time, and I had positive recommendations from my friends who really didn't tell me a whole lot about it other than the fact that they really enjoyed it and that I should see it. So I sat down expecting it to be, I'm probably going to piss somebody off here, but I expected it to be some sort of like Pixar kids movie or something like that was totally CG, because that's kind of what it looked like to me. I wouldn't imagine that this was stop motion. To say that I enjoyed every second of this film is actually an understatement, because I enjoyed every frame. Like they say in the beginning of the movie, don't blink, because believe me, I tried not to, simply because I didn't know what the hell I was watching, and it bugged me. I needed to find, like, what is this I'm looking at? Is this some sort of sorcery level of skill in CG, or is this some sort of immaculate stop motion production that I'm watching? And of course with the CG, I thought, because the animation was so fluid, because there were numerous just articulate facial expressions for these characters, I assumed, okay, this has got to be CG, because there's no way that they have thousands of different faces for these characters that they interchange in order to get from one expression to another, and everything in between that per frame per second. You know, I thought it definitely had to be CG, but then again, at the same time, with the stop motion, I was, okay, so, you know, this is something, everything looks like it has texture, everything looks like it's an actual physical object, but, you know, the animation, like, I just couldn't wrap my head around it, because I've never seen stop motion that was performed so beautifully as this. And when it comes to the end of the movie, where they actually show that it was stop motion, they had this giant skeleton that was on these wires that were hanging down, and they were actually like automating everything in the eyes inside of their head. I was totally blown away. And watching some of the videos that I have linked in the description, which are actually the makings of, you would have no idea how much effort they put into this. It was truly a labor of love, this movie. They had thousands of different faces that they 3D printed most of this stuff, and it looks so beautiful. Now, I know I've already spent a lot of time talking about the production quality of this movie, but for me, it's simply gold, and I would even go and see this movie again just to look at the craftsmanship present here. I thought it was beautiful, but considering that this is a movie which tells a story, I should probably talk about the story. Basically, the story follows Kubo, which is a young boy who has one eye. He plays a shamisen in the middle of his town, and basically he uses magic when he's playing a shamisen to create origami, and he tells stories with it. And it's something that is actually pretty ironic, because the story that he's telling is actually the story of his life. He's telling the story of a warrior that's on a great adventure to find these several legendary pieces of armor. Like, there's the chest piece, there's the head piece, and there's also the sword as well. And little does he know that, of course, he's always told that he can't go out at night because his aunts will find him and try and take his other eye away. But little does he know, when he gets trapped out at night one time, that he gets caught up in this grand adventure to try and basically achieve the same goal of taking down, from what I remember, the Moon King, which is actually someone who is related to him. I don't want to give too many details about this, because there is a lot actually that's going on with the story here, but as far as the adventure goes, I felt that it was something that was really enjoyable, because on his adventure to find these 3 mythical pieces of armor, or 2 pieces of armor and actually the sword, he comes across this beetle samurai and a monkey, which become his companions on his journey, and also the very small origami samurai that kind of leads the way. Now, I don't want to get off on another tangent here talking about the environments and how beautifully it was crafted, because I've already spent a lot of time talking about the presentation with this, but as Kubo is on his journey, he goes through a wide variety of different environments. Like, one of my favorites was when he was underwater. I thought they did a great job with that. But as far as like the story itself goes, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, because it is really a beautiful experience. But there was this ending here, and like I said, I won't be spoiling it, but I felt that it was a very touching ending, and it all built up properly. And when I was watching the credits, which are a beautiful thing of themselves. Like, just watching the credits, they kind of recap the entire story, and if you're somebody that watched this movie and you walked out on the credits, you did yourself a massive disservice, because it's a completely different art style there. It's actually like animated. They drew down basically some of the major key points of the story, and they told it as the credits were rolling to some beautiful music there, so I thought that was great. It was actually pretty funny because I was standing there waiting until the lights came back on just to see if there was another morsel of animation or something that I could find after the credits rolled, and the lights came back on. It was just me and this one other dude in the theater. It was this grown man, and I look over at him, he looks over at me from across the room, and I was like, damn, that was a pretty good movie, wasn't it? And I can tell that he was like trying to suppress some of the emotion that he was experiencing from the ending of the movie, because you know, like, you stand there until the end of the movie, when the lights come back on, you really love that damn movie. And I could tell he was like trying to suppress the emotion that he had, and all he could say is, yep. You know, the guy must have been crying. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it impacts me like that, but for the most part, because I watch so many different stories that are just filled with emotions, I don't really have too many physical responses from it anymore, because it's kind of my job to sit here and watch really good stories, and I can't really complain about that, but it just doesn't, I kind of become physically desensitized to it, and like not as many stories would really make me cry anymore. But it was a very touching ending, I have to say that. There was a lot of symbolism there, and how they tie back to the name of the story with the Kubo and the 2 strings. I don't want to say too much about that and spoil it, but it's definitely something you must watch. I'm highly recommending this. You should definitely go ahead and check it out. I want to go back and watch it again. I want to find somebody, maybe a friend of mine, who hasn't seen this yet, and just go with them and just see it again. I want to go back and watch it, actually pay more attention to the story, because this time I was just focusing so much on the beautiful animation that I know there was things that I missed, but I just couldn't help it. I was just in this heightened state of awareness the entire time, looking at all of the little details, like, oh, those rocks right there, are they real rocks? I've talked enough about the presentation here. You need to see this movie. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. But if you're coming just looking for like popular movies and stuff, I mostly talk about anime here, and you know, that's basically that. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.